collaboration. I'm also putting this to you that let's see what we can do together on some of these challenges. Asante sana.
Chair, I think the PCS has missed out on the question of staffing of the embassies in the US, because last time when we had the engagement in Parliament, you had indicated that there were certain steps that were being taken to enhance the capacity there. The US is a major partner. When I was there in August, we had only one trade attaché, and were being compared to the embassy of Vietnam. They had 4 just for agriculture. So I wanted you to address that, and there was also controversy as to whether our ambassador had reported at the time you appeared 6 months ago in the Senate. And the question that was also put to you, you can touch on it, on why since Burudi Nabuera in 1963 until today you have never seen it fit to post a woman to Washington. So just on that issue in Washington.
Well, on what?
Just in addition,
Yes.
Senator Kamau.
Okay. Okay.
Senator Kamau, are you there? They dropped. Okay.
Okay.
Just maybe one intervention, CS. Now, I visited Brussels one time, and they have a very good network of diaspora on the issues of welfare. And they used to encourage Kenyans who are living in Brussels to do registration. I don't know whether, of course it is hard to know who comes in and who goes out, but it's a very good culture where I realize they are also supporting each other whenever there are challenges, contributing to each other's welfare and all that. Is it possible to inculcate that culture within our, embassies? And also for those who are actually leaving the country, they should be encouraged to register with embassies. It will be easier to coordinate all these challenges. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On that one, I agree with you fully. Really, I have nothing more to add. We just have to follow that template, and it will really help in bringing better cohesion. The Diaspora Department is attempting to improve on that, but the direction you're pointing is the right direction. The staffing in the U.S., now we have the ambassador substantive ambassador is in place, Ambassador Kerich, and his staff complement has been reinforced, and we continue to do so. Part of it, as I indicated earlier, was also a budgetary issue in terms of making sure that you have the resources because our financial processes are extremely rigid. Following the Public Finance Management Act and ensuring that your drawdown is in accordance with the regulations, they are very rigid, but we are continuing to improve on that, and we are going to strengthen the areas that we might say we can wait, a waiting system to see the level of engagement between Kenya and that country determines the staffing levels in those countries. So it's work in progress. As to why we have not had a female ambassador, I have listened, and I will convey this message to the nominating authority so that in the next cycle that can be a consideration. But we have right now, if I pick up what you might call some of the critical stations, in Paris there's a lady, in the UK there's a lady, in Canada there's a lady, in Geneva There's a lady, and in Bern, Switzerland, there's a lady. In Morocco. So we, anymore? But there are quite a number. But yeah. So it's not as bad as it looks. In fact, the men are under threat, so to speak.
Senator Sifuna, you wanted to add something?
Chair, it's just that when you visit the embassy in Washington, it really looks bad that they have a wall of portraits of all our ambassadors from Nabuera to, I think by that time, the last one was Githai, I saw on the wall. It doesn't look very neat, but I'm happy with the answer you've given. Now, Chair, just finally on some of the things that the CS has said. CS, I understand that constitutionally, all this policy, including foreign policy, when you're making them under Article 10, you're required to subject these things to public participation. I am not very sure that you have subjected that position you've taken on China to public participation in terms of whether it's a moral decision or a purely commercial decision. And it will be very interesting to know, because it needs to be uniformity in our approach. You didn't say anything about whether we as a country support a two-state solution, say in Palestine, and why it would be different for Palestinians and not for the Taiwanese, and why strategic ambiguity that is adopted by other countries is not an option for us. I mean, some of these things we don't need to get ourselves involved. These are complex global disputes that you can just say because some of us feel morally that we should support any people trying to liberate themselves. This was us just 60 years ago. Imagine if they were saying we support one Africa under the British. You know, it would not sit very well with us. So is it a moral decision or is a purely commercial decision, and is it the same for Palestine?
Apparently, when the sessional paper comes to you, you'll realize that we have also stated clearly and categorically that we believe in a two-state solution. So we are very deliberate on this. So there's no way we are being ambiguous on this. In fact, it's one of the things that I wanted Kenyans to really appreciate. What are the strategic national interests that we really have to pronounce ourselves on? And one is that particular issue of the two-state solution. It's in conformity with the UN resolutions, and that is what we support. The issue of the one China policy, it is also of strategic national interest to the people of Kenya. If one was to look at it critically, China recognized Kenya's independence more than 60 years ago. In fact, it was about the fourth country to recognize Kenya as an independent state. And we've had solid partnerships, serious programs between us of mutual interest continue to go on. The SGR, which we want to push all the way to the Malaba border. We are looking at the Mao Summit Road, which we want to push all the way again to the border because of the economic importance of this as an artery in this particular situation. We have to look at our strategic interests. Clearly, I don't see us having done any other anything that is wrong, and many countries have adopted this. So I think it's in our interest to be able to make it clear to the Kenyan people where we stand, so that there's a distinction between where the country stands and where a Kenyan may have his personal choice. That is the thing that we want to be very, very clear about when we go forward. Kenya's policy is a one China policy. But if there are Kenyan individuals who have a different position, then that is personal to them. But it is not the official position the government of Kenya.
Yeah, done. One final concern, CS, on the issue of office space abroad. I know we are not doing very well as a country, and that is because we are renting most of our offices. I have seen what you have done in Geneva. Very beautiful office. I don't know how you managed to have that office. New York, you have the Kenyatta. Is it called the Kenyatta building or Kenyatta House? I don't know. I don't know whether it has been sold.
Kenya House.
Kenya House.
Yes.
It was built in the bundus of New York. One time I heard it was going to be sold. I don't know whether you have sold it. But my concern is, I remember one time Mutahi Kagwe brought a motion in the House concerning whether the money that you are given or whether the money you are paying for rent can be used for mortgage. Because we are really spending a lot of money. And I'm sure a chunk of your budget goes to housing or rather office space. Do you have plans of seeing how you can acquire office space abroad? I know it's expensive, but that is a very good initiative by Senator then Mutahi Kagwe, who is your colleague in the cabinet now, to see how we can acquire office space abroad. So what plans do you have as far as that is concerned? I thank you.
Thank you. It is indeed that we have a policy now to look at how to grow our assets abroad. And it's in the policy document that we'll share with you, where we can use both the exchequer and where we can also have public-private partnerships. I say so because if you go to Upper Hill today, and I was the guest of honor, the then Minister for Foreign Affairs of Tanzania came and we jointly broke ground where their pension fund, Tanzania Pension Fund, is putting up a 22-story building at Upper Hill, which will house the Tanzanian embassy, but will also be available as a revenue-generating asset for the government of Tanzania, so that they can lease the rest of the space they don't need, and with that they can manage their matters. And we have seen this for quite a number of countries. Uganda, for instance, has got quite a prime building in New York, just next, not too far from the UN headquarters. They also have a very big building in the Trafalgar Square. They call it Uganda House. And even here in Nairobi, you can see they have some assets here, just the way we have a few. So we have a plan to be able to start making serious investment proposals for the assets that we have, so that we can maximize on the returns and draw A&A, which can then help in funding our missions more robustly as we go into the future. Just to go back a little bit, why it is also important, if I may just really help in what Sifuna was raising. It's very important because this is some strategic positions which have of national interest. We believe it's important to always have an official Kenya position on some of these very critical areas, so that we don't send mixed signals. on very clear, on very strategic areas. And I know, for instance, there were some people who were pushing to have a delegation from Parliament to go to Taiwan. When the President of Kenya is visiting China for a state visit. You see, looking at it, that would have been a provocative action, and it could have cost the country dearly. So there are certain things that we need to be alive to, because they can have serious and devastating implications on the broader welfare of the country. Thank you.
Chair, just what my final comments on these things. First, Waziri, I want to commit that we will help in educating Kenyans who travel to be of the best behavior, but you will agree with me that a vast majority of the people who live this country are peace-loving and law-abiding citizens. They did not leave Kenya as criminals themselves. They did not commit crimes here. They go there to look for better lives for themselves and for their families. And sometimes misfortune finds you. I had a friend called Marianne. She was bludgeoned to death in London just recently. I myself was deported from Angola just a few weeks ago. I had my papers correct. I had the visa. I arrived at the airport, and I must say that your ambassador there, Joyce Maizi, she was very supportive. She came to the airport herself, although I didn't even get a chance to wave at her. But she tried her best to get me into the country. So sometimes people run into problems, not of their own making. We have a case of a young man who was arrested during the crackdown on opioids in the US, and he was a pharmacist, and he comes from Vihiga, that young man. I'm sure you know of that case. And all we want is that when things go wrong like that, there has to be some legal support from your country. As in, we've seen other people, when there's a crisis in southern Lebanon, their countries are very fast to evacuate them from there. Now for us, Kenya, honestly, Honorable CS, our citizens out there don't feel like their country is always going to be there. Immediately they fall into problems. It took a lot of time for us to get our people out of south of Lebanon, and you know it. You cannot compare the speeds with other countries. Now, just on this question of clarity, in fact, your ministry has issued a statement today, apparently disowning your friends from the RSF. Honorable CS, whereas it is wrong for us as Kenyans to go to other countries and commit crimes, why do we allow other people to commit crimes in our jurisdiction? The question of the RSF holding a meeting in the heart of the city here at KICC, claiming to be forming a parallel government, that's not something that should happen. It's similar to what you allowed to happen with M23. And then people who are just here for, they have come to visit us, like my friends Besige. Those are the ones you go for quickly and return them to Uganda. It doesn't present a very good picture on what we are as a people. We should be a safe haven. We should not allow people who are involved in conflict in their own countries to be holding press conferences here. I doubt that I would finish a press conference speaking in Uganda, for instance, about forming a parallel government anywhere else. So that clarity is also something that we want to hear from you. When did these RSF people stop being our friends? I've seen you have abandoned them today.
I think what I want to say is that Kenya's role in mediation and peacekeeping is not new. It's historical. And we can go back to moments when Jomo Kenyatta was the one bringing different factions of Angola to Kenya, and in fact their peace process started in Nakuru. So I really feel sad that you got that kind of treatment. But we'll try and understand the circumstances through diplomatic channels as to why you had to undergo that particular misfortune. Now, Kenya helps to provide a platform for various countries for people to talk. South Sudan, they have different factions. They have many peace efforts taking place in Nairobi. Mediation of different factions, different political groups. And Kenya has always offered that opportunity. In fact, you will recall that South Sudan began its journey here in Nairobi by different factions coming here and talking until they got their independence. When we look at the DRC, and you'll be familiar with the Luanda process, the Nairobi process, that terminology, which is now merged into one process. Heads of state of the East African Community and SADC came together in a summit and they said, let us have one forum so that we avoid forum shopping of people cherry picking which meeting to go to and which one not to go to. It delays the peace process. You will find that the Luanda process was designed led by the president of Angola, to broker the peace process between DRC and Rwanda, to bring dialogue between the two states, interstate. Then President Uhuru is leading the Nairobi process, which was to bring inter-Congolese dialogue, including the M23. So all the various factions in DRC, they fall under the Nairobi process. And these are processes acknowledged and recognized by the African Union. So Kenya talking to these people was not in breach. In fact, they will have to talk, because we are seeing interventions which are good. Anything that calls for ceasefire and we manage to achieve ceasefire, whether it is coming from the Middle East or whether it's coming from other quarters, is okay. But the long-term sustainability of the DRC will require deeper dialogue to go to the root causes. And this deeper dialogue will have to bring together a conversation of all these parties, M23 included. And that has been Kenya's position. It was not about interfering with another country. We don't even have a common border in between. So there's no way we can have any direct intervention that is that is inimical to those other countries. The same thing holds for the RSF. We have made it very clear that first, no parallel government was formed in Nairobi at all. We have gone public on this, and we have said that the challenge in Sudan will not be solved through a military process where one annihilates the other. It will be difficult. For 3 years, that is the approach that has been taken, and for 3 years, Sudan continues to suffer. So Kenya's position has been that bring the parties to the table. Let them be brought to the table. And by them coming here was to get them to talk. The Jeddah process, which was in Saudi, was convened to bring together both the RSF and the SAF. So it's not about us interfering. It's us saying, let people dialogue. But no government no parallel government was formed in Nairobi.
Thank you, CS. I think we have come to the end of this meeting. Maybe we'll give senators an opportunity to give a closing debate. Do you have anything to say in closing? Senator Mgeni?
I think on behalf of the senators, just to thank the CS for finding time to interact with us. This is the first time I'm serving in this committee, Security Foreign Relations. So we look forward to a good, hearty working relationship. I think there are a number of issues we have raised that you will go back and look at with your technical staff. So we hope that we will have further engagements purely for the benefit of the people that you serve and we serve. Thank you.
Senator Sifuna?
Yeah, Chair, thank you. Certainly an illuminating conversation, and I'm hoping that we'll have more of these conversations and just to get to know where we stand as a nation in the community of nations. Interestingly, now I'm starting to ask myself whether I should be asking the ministry where I can and cannot travel. Because, Chair, you know, we have our own individual relationships, our moral convictions. I found myself as an election observer in Somaliland. There was a lot of noise. I didn't understand what the noise was for, because I know there's an embassy for Somaliland here in Kenya, in Nairobi, in my county. So I thought that the official position of the country was to recognize. Apparently there's all sorts of complications. So maybe there should be a list of places that has an elected representative of the people. I should know where I can go and where I cannot go. But I'm hoping that these conversations will continue to illuminate. And CS, many of us, you know, are more morally convicted than commercially convicted. I'm not saying that it is not strategic to have relationships with some of these countries, but it is difficult for you to convince me that they are the only ones who can do those things. And by the way, they're not doing them for free. We will pay for those things. And so when those conversations are there, even though you don't want to offend friends who are helping you to do certain things, you can also just be ambiguous about that relationship. I can guarantee you, the people who approach these issues from a moral perspective, given the history of this country, are more than you think. And maybe you should, one of these days, put that questions to Kenyans, and they'll surprise you.
Thank you, Senator Sifuna. CS, your closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. All I can say is that I think this was a very good interaction. I look forward to more of this nature, so that we can work together on critical areas. We may not always agree, but it is important that we have these conversations often. But I want to assure you that Kenya's foreign policy is designed to be in the interests of the Kenyan people. And that is why we have gone a notch higher by actually presenting and getting Parliament to the National Assembly to have a sessional paper on Kenya's foreign policy. We have never actually had a sessional paper on Kenya's foreign policy. What has been foreign policy has been largely a document within the executive. This time we are saying, no, we cannot continue doing it that way. The people's representatives must have this, and they must have an opportunity to input into that policy. And public participation was undertaken by the Committee of the National Assembly on some of the questions that we have touched on today. But I really want to appreciate the very positive concerns of this committee. It shows that we are for the same objective, a prosperous Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are closing now. We really appreciate your coming. CS. We have taken a bit of time this kind of interaction, but nevertheless today some of us, we say God's time is the best time. Maybe one concern is especially the one you have said and Senator Sifuna has raised on the countries that we are required to visit. If you can communicate to Parliament, it will be important so that when members plan for these trips, they know where to go and where not to go. Just to avoid some embarrassment is really very important. So that communication is really key. On Toposa and Turkana, I think we'll communicate with you because it's between you, KDF, and also Interior. It's a matter that we can have a joint sitting so that we can iron out. On the statements that are outstanding, we will officially write to you and attach the statement so that we can have a quick response. But otherwise, we say thank you very much for coming. We should be able to continue working together and protect the interests of Kenyans, both locally and also abroad. Thank you very much. We now close our meeting. The meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much. CS, contact person. In the event that we can't get you, that has been a challenge. Sorry, I'm reminded by our clerk. Yeah.
Apart from we have our two PSs here. I mean, Aurora Rono, and also, but matters foreign affairs. It should be the PS foreign affairs and the officers outside. Yeah.